Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and we have a very exciting Tidal Twister construction update thanks to our great friend Dorian. You can check out his Instagram down in the description. I'm sure he would definitely appreciate it, but there is a lot of work going on. You can see that they finally have new posters up for the actual ride itself on the walls stating when the opening date is, and that is May 24th if you did not know. Now, another thing you can see is that concrete will be placed around the border of where the ride is, almost as kind of another walkway or another pathway, most likely to get into that amphitheater right there. But besides that, you can see that both stations are pretty much finished as of now. They've even got umbrellas at the control booths for the ride to be operated. And it looks like there will be dual panels for the ride, just to make sure both sides are completely ready to go before the ride actually starts its cycle. Now, speaking of cycles, I'm sure most of you have clicked on this video just to see testing, and we will get to that in just a little bit, but it's really cool to see all of the trains finished. And I guess it's one train, or you could argue two, I suppose, but they are both connected by a bunch of dollies slash different cars, I guess. So you could definitely make that debate that it's one train or two, or if it's even a coaster or not. That's a big one still. But it is going to be interesting to really see how this ride feels. Now we can finally say, though, we know what it's going to look like when it runs, just by its slow moving back and forth right here, and finally its full movement within the layout. So it's very, very exciting to see testing for this done already. Now, of course, we still have a month and a half until the opening date, but don't be surprised with how much testing they're going to do with this ride. It is a prototype, just to let you know. So this is technically the first of its kind, so there will definitely be a bigger testing period to make sure everything is running smoothly, especially since it is a SeaWorld park. They will want to make sure it is running perfectly by opening day. But you can even see here that on the airtime hill, if you are in the back of that half of the train, you will be whipped across the airtime hill, and it actually looks like you will get some substantial airtime. Now, speaking on the other spectrum, though, the hang time looks even better going through the 0G roll or the corkscrew in the center of the layout. I am actually very impressed with how quick it ends up moving through the layout, which you will end up seeing a couple minutes down the line, but it's really, really awesome to see this finally happening. And I mean, this ride has gone up literally within about 2-3 months. Just boom, out of nowhere, we had supports. Boom, all of a sudden it was half finished. And then another couple days later, trains are on the track. And then another week or two later after that, it's testing. So this ride has honestly had one of the fastest turnarounds for construction I've ever seen. Sure, it is a smaller ride. You could argue that it's a flat ride as well, but still, for a prototype ride, it's gone up incredibly quickly, especially in that small space that it has. But here you can see it kind of moving a little quicker, and you're definitely getting some more airtime on that airtime hill, and then even some good hang time in the roll. I'm actually definitely more excited for this in comparison to Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster. I still have not been on the latter coaster slash ride because it was closed when I went to Discovery Kingdom, so that kind of stunk. But from what I've heard review-wise, it's not very good anyways. But I'm really hoping that Tidal Twister will blow Harley Quinn out of the water. I think the layout alone is already better, considering it has an airtime hill and a pretty solid looking inversion. And also, if you didn't know, it is incredibly quiet in comparison to Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster. Just listen to this. It's awesome. I really enjoy the fact that it's super quiet, and I think it's very good to have such a quiet ride right next to a popular amphitheater during the summer. When this ride will open, there will definitely be a show in that amphitheater right next door in the very, very near future after its opening. So it's a good thing that all you can really hear is kind of a scatteredness of jingle bells, is how I would describe it, or possibly a glass filled with some ice cubes that you're shaking around. And that's about it. So I don't know how it actually sounds in person, but from the recording itself, it definitely is not too loud. It might get a little annoying after maybe waiting an hour plus for the ride, but then again, when you're waiting an hour plus for a ride, you're definitely going to get annoyed with a lot of things that you usually would not get annoyed with. So it's very, very awesome to see this ride testing though, and Dorian's being the MVP right now, trying to get the sun out of the shot. I'm sure you've noticed his hand popping up every once in a while. He was trying to get the glare out of the shot so you could see the testing as clear as possible. But of course they started testing around 4 or 5, just when the sun was right in the perfect spot to be kind of in the way for filming, at least for a good lighting of the filming. So it's really, really awesome to see this, though. I was not expecting it to be testing this quickly. I was expecting there at least to be another 1 or 2 week period before testing started. But once we found out that May 24th was the opening date, I was like, oh, okay, so halfway through April is definitely going to be the time that they start this. And here is a great, great shot of the testing, kind of over to the side, and you really get a full experience and view with how this ride is going to look. And you can even see that there's this pathway that you will be able to walk within feet of the ride itself, which I think is a beautiful spot to get pictures and photo opportunities in the future. And hopefully they will be doing some planting in the center of that space, just like kind of in some of the concept arts. They had some planters and it'll look really nice, and maybe even a fountain in the middle. That would be really cool, but I don't know the logistics of that specifically with the footers already being placed in and everything like that. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. But that is just detail work in comparison to the ride itself functioning, and it looks like it's functioning properly. And just as a heads up, this is actually not the first time it has tested. It actually had some test runs last night, or I guess Friday night, April 12th, and no one really knew about it. Dorian was talking to some of the construction workers, and they were saying how this was not the first test run, but it was one of the first test runs, and it was the first test run of April 13th, this Saturday, that is still currently, for me, Saturday when I'm recording this. But Dorian was saying that it was testing around 10 to almost 15 times while he was standing looking at it. So that's pretty amazing that within the second day of testing, they've already gotten that many test runs in within a couple hours. Because Dorian was standing around the construction site for about an hour and a half, maybe even 2. But it was a pretty busy day at the park. Dorian was saying that the lines for Electric Eel and Manta were not worth it. And that's pretty hard to be able to achieve, I would say personally, at least for Manta. But I mean, heck, if I was at SeaWorld, I would have definitely stuck right by Tidal Twister's side and tried to get as much footage as possible. And I have to say a huge thanks to Dorian again. But here's a good over-the-top view of what Tidal Twister will look like. I'm just really excited now. I honestly will tell you that I was not very hyped about this ride whatsoever. I thought that it could potentially be another downfall for Skyline, just like Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster, which hasn't really been accepted very well in the coaster community or the public or just the theme park community in general. And I was thinking there could be so many different potential problems with this ride. Now, there definitely still can be, but it looks like after this many tests have been done and it's still running pretty smoothly, I think this might be a hit for SeaWorld San Diego. But we'll just have to wait and see to really see how it does. But I do know that it's already testing more in the first 2 days in comparison to Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster did in its first couple days of testing. So that's already a great sign. And it looks like the double bogey or the double wheelbase system is working really well. Dorian was saying it looked a little shakier in person in comparison to on video, specifically in the station turns. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But he said that going one way on the airtime hill and one way on the 0G roll was really, really smooth. And then the other way was a little more rocky. So we'll have to see how that is as well. Hopefully there might be some measures taken to see if that can be changed. But honestly, we won't really know how smooth it is until somebody rides it and we won't really be seeing that for at least another week or two, depending on how many test runs they will need to complete before they can officially get a rider on it, let alone getting test dummies on it, because they'll have to do that first. And looking at the colors of the trains, they actually don't look bad at all. I was expecting the blue, the purple, and the pink kind of to clash. I mean, it does a little bit, but not too much where it's just like making your eyes bleed. So I'm actually completely okay with that. And honestly, I might even prefer the blue train to the purple train just because it is a different color than the track itself. So I'm very, very happy that all of this is happening, and it looks like it's happening really, really smoothly. So I just am really I've changed my mind on this ride, at least as of now. I was thinking could be another flop, but I'm really thinking this could be a great addition to the park. And honestly, this seems to be getting a lot of public attention just from its test runs today, judging by how many people were walking by going, "Whoa, that's awesome. I want to go ride that when it opens. That looks insane." If you were listening to just the straight audio from the footage, that's what you'd be hearing a lot. And so I think this could honestly be a great fit for the park. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you have not. We're going to have tons of updates from all the parks in Southern California. And of course, make sure to check out Dorian's Instagram down in the description below. But it's time for me to head off. So of course, as always, we'll see you on the next ride.